I feel in the gaming industry, it can turn into this bubble effect where you're always speaking with someone who has just like a little bit more than you and maybe want to be a founder. And I felt I was in a hamster wheel. And finally, when I got to an amazing place that, I'm really happy in, I just thought, I don't want to be on this wheel. Like, I just want to be here, calm, peaceful, making fantastic games, working with nice people. And I didn't know what to do next. I don't think I had the courage to essentially rip up the playbook. That's when I saw your coaching program that came across as very life-changing and something that I've learned through my studies.
Welcome to the Rise and Play podcast. I am Sophie Vaux, your host and leadership coach. In the show, my wonderful co-host and I sit down with influential and diverse leaders from the gaming industry to hear about their leadership journey. Not the well-polished stories, but the real stories. The up and down, the breakthrough, and the failures. Or should we rather say learnings? Each episode will transport you into a magical space of vulnerability with our guests. And together, you'll be reminded that no matter how hard it is, you are not alone in this journey, and find the courage to keep going. Come and join the ride? Let's begin. A former product leader who worked 16 years in the gaming industry, I know how difficult it is to get reliable and usable player insights. The logistics of scheduling, recruiting the right players, collecting and reviewing feedback, it is all time away from game development. But you know how fundamental it is to test assumptions with your core audience and iterate at a lower cost before marketing an unproven game. I am proud to announce Playtest Cloud as our key partner, as I have believed since day one in the quality of their service and their mission to democratize player research. Playtest Cloud can take the hassle out of organizing game research yourself and delivers results within 48 hours, allowing you to implement changes in time for your release. Having been a long-time user of the platform, it is the industry standard used by top AAA and mobile studios, and now they also support indie developers with special pricing. Working for a year on the wrong game is an expensive mistake, and you can de-risk it now by investing in your player research. Check out the show notes for a free trial and learn more about Playtest Cloud. So hi everyone, welcome to my house in Berlin and the balcony. It's summer. And we're doing the podcast recording in a more relaxed setting today with Maria Gillius. Welcome.
Hello. It's a very, very nice balcony.
Yes, thank you, and welcome to my home. So maybe to give a context why Maria is here, because usually I have a few podcast interview I do in Berlin for people who live in Berlin, but Maria this day is not in Berlin. We were just back from a weekend where we were celebrating a graduation weekend for Orin. So if you're familiar with the work I've been doing for over a year now, Orin is the coaching program I started to build with women in leadership position, and we were closing a 6-month journey in Berlin. So there was a lot of craziness, a lot of love.
It's the right place to graduate.
Oh yeah. There was graduate in multiple ways. So that was the weekend, and here we are Monday after that weekend. But welcome, and back to work Monday reality, whatever that means.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
So welcome, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And for the context, how we've met with Maria, we've, I think, seen each other at multiple events for a while. Then I was organizing those Rise and Play network event. And then there was, I think, the start of some magic. And then, almost a bit less than a year ago, we had a bad call, and then decided to do the coaching, the Orange journey together. And I will not describe because I'll let you do that. I think it really bonded us and to get to know each other on a different level.
Because we hadn't really spoken properly before that call. We're always just around each other's satellite paths.
Yeah. As product, women in product, leadership, in games. And sometimes you think like, okay, I think I know most of the women in the industry because you can count them, fingers, I exaggerate. We are not that many. And so I remember I saw your name, but yeah, we never had the chance to connect. So, and then we saw the commonalities way beyond the product.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do?
What do I
What's your
do?
role? Yeah. Where do you live?
Well, I now live in Lisbon, in Portugal. I finally moved back. I'm product director at Pixion Games. We're building Fableborn. We're a mobile free-to-play startup. And I do all kinds of things within that role. We're a small studio with a lot of hats. And so I also guide game design and the creative direction, the business model. I used to live in England, just very recently moved back to where I grew up. Sadly, the Portuguese gaming industry is still not thriving. Yeah, so I'm glad to be back and hopefully be a part of building the growth in Portugal.
Yeah. In a parallel track, there was the whole digital nomad and tech bubble that they say is going to be the next thing. I know it took some time to take off. So I think Miniclip is in Portugal.
Yeah, Miniclip, there's a couple big ones.
I love the thinking, the opportunity to grow. What's not there instead of, oh, it's not there. So, why starting? So already thinking growth. How did you get into games? Were you doing that before you got into craziness of Web3, mid-core games, craziness of games?
The craziness. So I grew up in Portugal and gaming isn't really a thing there. There was Miniclip even in my time studying. So yeah, you wouldn't even think of it as a possibility. But it was my dream. I always played a lot of video games. The traditional story. I played a lot of games. I wanted to make games. And I actually started working in long-distance fisheries because there's a big connection in my hometown to fishing. So I went into that. And then 4 years later, I was thinking, really? I started to grow very senior in the industry. And it felt like the easy path. It wasn't a path I was very interested in it, but not passionate. And so I created a 10-year plan on how to get into games. And
wow.
Yeah, it was like, it just had to take steps over time to get an opportunity. So I took my skills in biz dev and fisheries and management. I brought them into tech consultancy to build offshore teams, just to get experience working with technology. And then from that, I moved to England and I started in AI, financial technology regulation products, and doing a little bit of product management. And then serendipitously, the director of data at that company actually had worked at Jagex. And this is something that I found getting your first shot in the gaming industry, unfortunately. Sometimes you just need a lucky break. There's a lot of luck involved in maybe you meet someone who can refer you. And so I think it's very difficult right now for graduates and people who are more junior in their careers. So I was incredibly lucky that I found this person. There was a role that was basically perfect for me at Jagex, product management in the publishing platform, which is basically the platform work I was already doing in fintech. Yeah, I managed to get hired, which was great. From there, I started to work with the different games at Jagex and building out the platform, the launcher, web, very cross-platform focused, and learning about live ops and how to plan releases from, big releases to keeping your community retained and monetizing them. And then, I got my shot to get into mobile free-to-play at Hatch, where I was doing product management as well. And long story short, I managed to get my current opportunity in leadership and product direction. So I started to become a podcast host at Navic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, right.
It was a very intense year and I was working with amazing people. And I think that's when I started to learn, just a lot of the more strategic layers, the market layers in our industry. And so I felt that really skyrocketed my growth alongside the opportunities I was given at Hutch. And that's my story.
Yeah, and now at Pixion Games as a product director. I never had to ask you because I think we connected on another level. So I'm also discovering whoa, okay, I have more to ask. These days it's hard to get into the industry. But what I saw was not accidents where you made a plan. You had laid out a vision, a plan, what are the skills for me to get there, the things I should learn. I'm curious, between the 10 years plan and the actual years, was it a 10-year in the end, shorter, or?
It was 8.
Okay, wow. See, so that's the kind of thinking you need to think that far to really get into building the thing, getting in the industry or doing the rules, because it's a long-term game. So that just even that thinking is that I'm going to commit, I'm going to build my way there. And the fact that you manifested it and knowing maybe, some ideas, some thoughts you share always, like having a vision forward, I think you will repeat it again, whatever, like you have 10 years forward and building the steps through that, which is a good reminder. When you look at the result of people, you think, wow, okay, they got lucky. That's always what we say. Yes, there's luck, but you created the probability, higher probability of luck being in the situation, having the skills, so you're just receiving better the probability than...
Yeah, and, as my friends were enjoying a weekend in the park and enjoying hobbies and having fun, I was at home listening to podcasts, deconstructing games. It was a lot of hard work to create those opportunities and be able to add value in the growth of my role over time in the gaming industry. And so me moving back to Portugal now feels like full circle, where finally I can move back home.
Yeah, the return.
It is the return, and so
your journey, like
I do feel so. That's okay.
I learned the lessons, and I come back with my, learning wisdom to build at home.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So in that leadership journey, sometimes you don't have a lot of examples of kind of leadership you resonate with, want to be. So what was your journey growing your leadership way in a way that you felt this is me and not something that I take and I'm not sitting well with it? So what helped you in the journey? What did you learn?
People. Bad examples and good examples. And just me working in different types of organizations and structures and cultures and understanding what made me feel upset or feel that it was unfair or, see negative toxicity where instead of teammates building something more positive and everyone being happy, I could see, it's work and we're making games. It's meant to be a fun industry for us to work in, creative. And I think creativity requires joy in the environment. And yes, we're going to have difficult conversations, but we're still all a team. And I think I made so many mistakes in my career. And every single job, I can look back on it and I think, yeah, this was the wrong decision, or I was really pushing for this idea, but I shouldn't have. Maybe I could have improved the relationship with someone if I had taken some extra steps. Everyone is going to be making mistakes, and it's about creating a culture where that's okay. What's important is learning from them and being friendly with each other, also being direct. And I didn't read a book on how to be a leader. I just tried to be guided, honestly, by my morals and my heart and trying to create a good place where people feel happy, fulfilled. Stimulation in your job is very important, and not just be, okay, here's a very specific brief, just go in and execute it. Yeah.
How have you managed to apply those morals, those principles in the workplaces you were, and what were the difficult parts, maybe harder to implement? Because there's what we want, especially in workplaces. We know how it is also in the industry, in the tech. We have our aspiration, and there's the reality of the business. Where could you move a needle? That's what I wanted to ask. Your area of leverage and power, and where were other places you couldn't move a needle, and it was frustrating, or you had to adapt maybe your own expectation.
I think it starts from C-level, from founders, or if it's after the founder stage at a C-level. I think it all starts from that layer, and then it trickles down. And so I'm the type of person who does not optimize career. I don't make choices based on brand or what game is it. I make choices based on, does the leadership that exists right now in the studio and the culture of the studio and how we make decisions, what do we think about when we make decisions, is it aligned with how I want to operate in this world? and then I choose the path that is aligned. And some could say it's not the most profitable path, and I agree, but it's the path that I'm happiest and most fulfilled in, and it allows me to do my best work.
Yes. What is profitable in Vienna? It's one dimension, right? But it would be a thing we would know if we would just make decision of what's the most optimized or profitable. Because exactly, we have different dimension of how fulfilled am I, how am I feeling aligned with what I'm doing, so it's not just that dimension, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I think job is meant to be fun. Like our day is meant to be fun, and the people that we work with, we should like them and have a good time. And I think sometimes all of the best decisions I've made in my career is because I've met one person, we had a chat, and we had chemistry. We were clearly very aligned, at least in the high level, big principles. There was a match between vision and how I want to play a role in executing and delivering the vision. So I do think it's quite simple when it's prioritized based on, let me find alignment between who I am and my job. And I think that's what makes me very happy where I am currently. And I'm learning a lot about humane leadership. It's actually quite complex and difficult.
Yeah, because humans are complex and difficult. What were the resources you've had to find that alignment about yourself? And because it's a knowledge that it comes with experience, life, bad experience. So how did you identify more what were your values to even have clarity, like this is my boundary, this is no, yes? What were the turning points maybe in your life?
Honestly, I think I'm the same person as I was when I was a kid. The things that used to upset me a lot and made my high school and school experience very difficult is still things that I stand by today. But I think no one teaches us that. We just go from school thrown into the workplace and just trying to figure everything out. There's like counter forces where big corporations and growth and the VC model and is pushing you to explore your boundaries, basically, in terms of how growth operates in the current world. And if you want to grow your career, especially if you are ambitious, you really want an opportunity because you have a vision or you have certain priorities, I think you really have to find and maybe just explore what your boundaries are. And as I've come through that journey, I think where I'm at right now and today, I am still very aligned to, as a kid, as a teenager, what I thought was right and what I thought was wrong. How I want to be kind with people, but still be very ambitious, but just do it in a fun, healthy way. And I actually think those are the types of environments you can really feel in a game. You can feel in a game when it's the team that's made it was passionate and excited and joyful making it. And I think we see a lot of repercussions in the current industry where you can almost pick up a game and you can sort of feel, it might not be the team itself, but you can feel that there was a lack of alignment, or there was a lack of joy in the decision making to create a fun game.
Yeah. It's a tough one these days because there's definitely a lot of emphasis on the business of games, and then discarding what made also a game, the creation, the inefficient maybe part of the process at the beginning, which is figuring out what's fun, exploration, connecting to a child part of ourselves and conveying it into an experience, and not it's like, maybe that's what in a game separates what is a product, pure product. Like we solve a consumer need, which I don't know, boredom. What is a consumer need? And what is an experience? More on the artistic way, right? You go through an experience, through an emotion, through a journey. And we are, especially in mobile games, are much more on the products side. That has been my path as well in game business and product. And then we lost our way. Like, well, the creative people, where are they gone? It really burned people along the way. So it's a hard balance. I don't have an answer for that, but it's a hard one. It has been the tension since forever. You see this in cinema, music, like the yin and yang. I don't know, they need to work well together, but there's just an over-index on the business.
There's a balance that has to be had. And I think that's maybe one of the most critical points whenever recruiting for any kind of product role. I think that's one of the first questions to align on is, where do you stand on how you operate and how you view game making, the craft? Do you see it as a cold product where you're going to take data points, create hypotheses, even of the kind of concepts that you want to make, and then you're going to go through a very data-heavy process to try to validate early KPIs? Or are you still driven, and how much, by team creativity? You're going to get in a room, you're going to spark ideas, of course, with market data and some input and maybe partnerships and opportunities. Where are you there? And I think anyone who's leading a game from a product perspective should have that alignment with the studio. If not, you're countering forces, and maybe that's good,
And you have a team that you lead on your current role? And
Yeah, I work with the most amazing people. And I feel very lucky for us being a fully remote company. We're very fortunate to find people across the world. The whole studio. We have just a fantastic team. And for the kind of game that we're making, where we're blending genres that haven't really been blended successfully before, you need a creative team where everyone pulls together and finds new solutions. Yeah, fantastic people. And it's just super nice and good chemistry. It's good. Yeah.
What are the roles in your team?
We have 2 very senior game designers.
Design as well.
Yeah, game design, and then 2 UI and UX designers. That's like our day-to-day, and then we have other team members that dip in and out. We have an amazing art director and tech coordinator.
I can see the full smile on your face. And
Yeah, I mean, I honestly love my day-to-day working with them. And of course, working in the gaming industry, some weeks are tough, especially as a startup, and we're trying to compete in mobile free-to-play, where we all know right now how difficult that is, and we have a lot of tough conversations and trying to find success and execute on what we need to execute for the studio. And yeah, I'm incredibly thankful.
Sends me back to working directly with the team. I've done that, got the T-shirt, like now I'm a different adventure. So through the journey of our focus here on the development, your leadership journey development, Orin came along. Very curious also about the development for you. Where were you at that time? Consciously or not consciously, I don't know what was there for you. And then as we started the journey, what happened?
I left my life, I left my country in pursuit of this dream of working in the games industry. And I did what I had to counter to some things that give me happiness. I love speaking my language, I love my country, I love the Portuguese people, but I had to move to where the jobs were, where the opportunities were. And I've worked with incredible people, and I'm so thankful for the life that I've had so far. But I just reached a point where I had to think, why am I doing this? Am I really getting this much joy from working in the gaming industry to keep prioritizing my job over pretty much everything else? And there was just something about how the world has created these rules by which you have to abide by if you're living a good life, if you're doing the right things. And I feel in the gaming industry, it can turn into this bubble effect where you're always speaking with someone who has just like a little bit more than you, and maybe you want to be a founder. And I felt I was in a hamster wheel. And finally, when I got to an amazing place that I'm really happy in, I just thought, I don't want to be on this wheel. Like, I just want to be here, calm, peaceful, making fantastic games, working with nice people. And I didn't know what to do next. I don't think I had the courage to essentially rip up the playbook of what life, career in the gaming industry as well would be. And And that's when I saw your coaching program that came across as very life-changing. And something that I've learned through my studies is that you get out as much as you put in. No matter how good the program is, you have to do the work, any kind of work. And I was ready. I was ready to do it.
Yeah. And you did. Overdid it. That's so wonderful to hear, because when we started, of course, so to give a context also, Orin is a program mastermind I started almost a year ago, taking on a journey 10 women in leadership position, mostly from the network gaming, and where I saw there was a need for a space together. It's not necessarily just looking for safety, but a space where we can think ourselves fully, maybe a bit more objective or more with courage, whatever real question, and to examine together and then act and create accountability with each other just by being. It's not like you should do this, but in a very organic and natural way of, what's next? Like I thought I knew who I was, but there's a bit of a deeper layer. Like, okay, am I ready to scratch that protection that I set for myself because I needed it to build those muscles, and now I have those muscles, I'm ready to let go of that harness, right? So there was a lot of that. And the way you speak about it, 6 months, we're at the end. That's why we had graduation. It's the end and it's the beginning of something else. I've witnessed the journey is also very different. The calmness, the clarity. So that's also what I wanted to offer in this journey for all of you. It's the environment for clarity. We live in a world that is so loaded with information, input. AI is going to make it even like more extreme. And making sense of all of this is really difficult and alone. So that modality was the way, like, how can I get more clarity through the noise? And then I know now. I know something very profound, and it's my story. I don't need to scream into the roof of the world, but I know it and I trust it. So what I'm describing are there things also that have been even more confirming truth for you, you know. Maybe I feel you've always been, as you share, connected to your child. And I think the work is more preserving that rather than sometimes we say like finding myself back, but it's preserving. But I wonder also what other things, you know, came up, like reminder, you know, things you maybe forgot.
There's no good enough reason, well, except from, you know, basic principles and everything else, basic comforts of life. It's very self-destructive and destructive to others who are in our lives if we misalign ourselves from our principles. And I think the process is so subtle that you don't notice what happened along the way. And I think that's what happened with me. I thought I was, you know, doing great. It was all fantastic. And then after all of these years, that's when I re-examined myself and I thought, wow, I've changed so much in the past decade in pursuit of this goal. Am I me? Am I happy? And especially being in a leadership position and managing people, I think based on my personal experiences in the past, I think your line manager can have such a life-impacting consequence in someone's lives. It's a very delicate thing to manage another person. And you go through challenges, you go through tribulations. I think when things are great and fantastic and everything's going well, you're not really being challenged of where your limits are at. And so as we meet roadblocks and difficult conversations and difficult decisions, I was thinking, am I the best person to make another person feel supported, happy, motivated, protected, help their growth? And I was really trying to examine that. And I think I wasn't where I should be at to have the responsibility of being in a leadership team. And from a career perspective, I think that's been one of my key growth areas. By aligning with myself and being more at peace, I'm going to share that peace with the people that I work with in my day-to-day and how I react to challenges. I think the other thing is refining my love of making games. because they are so fun. They're so fun to make, and there's so many amazing ideas out there. And I think when we get to a certain level, you can't do a content play type vision. It's now disruption of distribution, not the growth of different types of content that you can create. And it almost becomes very abstracted. And I think that was something that was surprising to me. I was expecting going from many of the different industries I was in to gaming, but actually no. When it comes down to things, you can simmer pretty much all industries down to some core principles. And I moved back to Portugal. And that's another thing.
A small change, yeah.
That's another thing that happened. And I've always been very scared of doing that because, especially now, post-pandemic, a lot of gaming studios are going back fully to the office. And I'm in such a fortunate position to do this because I have a remote job with a great studio. And it's a privilege for me to be able to move back. And it makes me sad that with so many companies going back to the office, we're going to have to immigrate. We're asking people to leave their home, their culture, their language, which is so critical to our identity and who we are, and staying grounded and happy.
Not a small move, so meaningful, like a full circle, right? After 10 years, you went on your mission. You get the learnings you wanted and feel it's like a new chapter with your learnings. It's like you updated with like the download.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with it? So where are you now? There's, of course, the career aspect, but I want to focus here on more on the personal, because you given space suddenly a lot more for the personal, where before it was like a lot of work, but hey, I'm not just Maria, where it's like working, and it's all my life.
Maria is just a product director in games. Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear more on the personal side, what has also developed since you also moved to Portugal.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing, I already didn't really care about how the world classifies me and their rule set, but I've always had a little bit of resentment to what I feel as elitism. Is that a word in English?
Yes.
Where in the gaming industry, where you're judged a lot by the brands of the studios that you've worked for and by the game titles that you've worked for and the number of years you've had in the industry. And I mean, I work in this industry and I know all of those three things, it doesn't really matter for your talent, your chemistry in a group, like how you're going to react to challenges and remain constructive and part of a team. And so I had quite a lot of resentments to feeling that I was not seen in the gaming industry. I don't mean, I used to work in Fisheries and then I managed to get here without a course or anything, just through hard work. And I think that's something that's changed in my personal life. And it comes with the move to Portugal. And I don't care. I know my value. I know my worth. I know the value I can bring to a studio and the talents and the role I can play and be a part of. And so that's been quite liberating. And it's also opened my eyes to just see amazing people that exist in our industry that also don't meet any of those criteria. And they're going to go on to make very successful games and studios. And then I'm just doing hobbies that I abandoned. I'm finally surfing. Surfing very regularly. And I can go to the beach after work pretty much.
It's a dream, my God.
That is the dream. Life feels like a dream right now. Yeah. And making more friendships and connections and exploring just more of my creative side. I mean, I'm not an artist, but I like the process of creation. I think we define artists as someone who can produce quality work, but I think we're all artists.
Creators.
Yeah, we were creators. And so I've just been enjoying and rediscovering the joy of creation through dance, singing, drawing. I do poetry. I just write. I write random stuff that I feel like before I used to be not inspired, but now I'm very inspired by my surrounding. Love speaking my language again. Portuguese is so beautiful. Yeah.
It's beautiful to hear you talking with in the group we have Portuguese speaking, and it's so lovely to hear you with women in games, and not only in games, but speaking Portuguese. It's I can relate to you speaking your home language.
Yeah, it's a different type of inspiration for feeling and creation. And I think also I've been the most creative at work than I've been in a long time.
Yeah. I had the vision suddenly as you shared that in the slides I shared with you at the time when I was building Orin, like when you transform yourself, you transform your whole system. This is exactly what you describe, right? So you change, you are the agent of change, and the inner circle is influenced by the change. So it could be a team, could be friends, family, and everyone, and then business and impact, right? So this is the ripple effect of a change, but it starts always with you. You're the biggest multiplier of change.
Yeah.
What you describe is like it has affected all the areas positively of life.
It really has. And I think another thing that has brought me a lot of happiness in Oren is finding a group of women that we're super good friends with now. It's a very tight core. And I've never really experienced deep friendships with women. I think there's just a lot of perspectives and ways to go about in life. There's a lot of rule sets that women have to abide by. And these rule sets also change slightly depending on the country that you're from. And yeah, it's hard to find women with whom we're aligned and can be very transparent and open, or compete and connect at a very deep level. And so being able to have that with Oren, it's the first time. It's amazing. There's just something about the power of women friendship and groups of women. And sometimes we're talking, I'm like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
Of course I can.
And I will.
And I will. And I will. And I think that's just normal. We speak in a different type of language and how we connect, and being able to give and receive on the same wavelength, I say. It's been extremely powerful. I don't know. I think we're going to see waves.
Yeah.
Waves in the gaming industry and tech and...
Yeah. Yeah, what you describe is something we haven't known and experienced so much. Even during my career, being surrounded by women was a very scary thought. Because, we are not used to, and then we think, oh, this might end up very wrong. But there's a missing part of the puzzle for us to be thriving in a leadership position that feels, again, aligned and whole. And sometimes we've been looking for it in maybe the wrong places. And it's not to say that the places were not created for us, but it was just not designed like this at the beginning for us. So that missing piece of puzzle, this is where I felt has really giving the space for all the silliness as women, that was the theme of a weekend, where we can be our childish as women or wild selves and still like being very leader, result-oriented. It's just rewriting the story of how we lead and being ourselves silly, where it's like totally okay with no harm to anyone, Like sometimes we will look at our majority of men group and say, oh my God, this is a child. And then we have that part too, but we just don't have the space to be that version of ourselves. So we're just creating our own, in a way, circles to be and explore that part of ourselves that needs to express and be there.
Yeah, and to me, that's something that plays a critical role in why I'm so happy with the culture of the studio that I'm a part of now with Pixion, because with us in leadership team, we're all very different personalities, how we communicate, how we receive communication, but we're aligned on the values of respect, ownership, adapting to one another. And I think that is why it's so important to have diversity. I'm not just speaking about gender, like all kinds of diversity of thought, diversity of communication, diversity of where you come from and what your culture is, because it just creates a higher degree of outcomes of those conversations, because you're just constantly challenging. It's like, I call them micro challenges. And that always leads to just better results than a homogenous, aligned conversation from start to end.
Yeah, and it's been the growth for all of you this way. was input, of different perspective, but in a very safe container. So there's overlap, but there's also divergence.
Exactly. And then that overlap allows the divergence to, I don't know, to storm up within a safe, respectful, constructive environment.
And at last, I wanted to highlight that not only you were as a participant in this first bit of a journey, because I said the first bit, but also, Maria, part of the hobbies, but it's not like hobbies, it's like you will also be with us. So I'm opening the second court right now with the September retreat. And it's so exciting to see also the transformation where we are at some point participants or collaborators and co-creators. And that's also your journey emerging. Few last words on that. What was alive for you when it's like, because not everyone is part of a team joining this way, but you felt a very strong call in expressing, and I'm so grateful you did. And it was just a natural, match. But what do you remember that moment? What was alive for you to say, I want to be part of it this way?
Well, we had our retreat and we had a full experience where we finally all met. And we were together. It was 4 days, 3 nights. We were eating all meals together. We were having late night conversations, doing yoga, going for walks. And I think we just went through so much together. And I love making games. I love it. I love it. I love it. I wouldn't choose to do anything else. But I also love just being part of a community and just seeing how the lives of all of us changed, not through the activities or like the plan or the location, but just being together, listening, sharing, supporting. And I think that's how I was when I was a kid, is how I was when I was a teenager. And yeah, I really miss that, and I want to continue participating in these cohorts to come. And I just felt a strong call.
Yeah, and you're making it happen. You'll be part of a team. So Maria.
Oh, you're making it happen. You accepted me.
So Maria is going to join as a team member of the next retreat in September. And maybe that will be another conversation, because you grow through also doing the work. It's a different position, but it's so whatever it's meant to be for each, it's like beautiful to see. For me, this is a learning of leading by flow. I know it's not very always like aligned with business, but there are so many signals that we are here to listen. And then in time, they will show the results. That's what I'm trusting. And so that's also what I saw with you. So it was and this morning with Sophia, who's part of my team, saying like this was just such a match meant to be. You've been hanging out together this weekend, and you're going to be the team at the next retreat. So I'm looking forward to that and continuing to developing the work of magic, because although it's not a game, we're creating magical experience, and that's for me what games are about.
Yeah, we are creating an experience. Yeah, and I think something that it was in our initial conversation about why you should invest in yourself through coaching, and that coaching is a different method of growth. That's very important because it's looking to the futures, looking to your present, and that's something I felt very deeply. As you said a bit earlier, it's your system changes. And I think the coaching work helped me just be more open, break from boundaries, from preconceptions, from this rule set, and just be more adaptive. And I'll always be reflecting that. And I think being in this group of people, that's what we help each other do, is you're always getting different perspectives and being open to new thoughts. Because in this world of AI, there's so many changes happening, not just in the gaming industry, but what does it mean for my job?
Yeah.
Where am I going to be in the next 5 years even? Not even 10 years, but in 5 years. Is everything going to become more artificial? I'm so scared of hyper-personalization through AI. Because I see all of these products of, cool, well, your games are going to do exactly what you feel like doing, or we're going to give you very specific, because I think that's something that has actually had a negative impact in this world. We're put so quickly into bubbles, and then you can't really break out of that. They keep giving you hyper-personalizations, like, no, wait, I want to see more of the world. Don't put me in this bucket. And to me, it's just very scary where we're walking to. But I'm also excited that through the usage of AI in my work, I basically cut out things that I don't find stimulating. I want more of my workday to be on things that I find stimulating and that I find I can add value, rather than let me do this slide deck and make it look very pretty and think about all of the right words. And so I think AI has a very important role to play in making our jobs more enjoyable. But yeah, how do you lead a team of people? How do you lead a studio where the world, every week, there's something that changes the context? And
the context is the reality we live in. So it's changing all the time how to lead humans, as long as the context is changing. That's why it's the most complex things you can do working with others, with humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another founder I was catching up with when I was sharing that I'm building non-digital experiences, like that's probably one of the most defensible skills in the future, because as we're all trying to not interact with each other, because we don't have to do that, or we think we don't, then it's a muscle that is underdeveloped. Conflicts, managing conflict, communication, like growth, different perspective, being okay with yourself, with others. So that's good that you're investing again in other skills that will also connect with the rest, where you are very much digital business. Retreat organization is purely human skills and coordination and organization.
And keep working on yourself, because for you to actually be leading a business and leading people and managing people, you have to be at peace.
Yeah.
And with an open mind.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much for our conversation. Oh yeah, we had a long one. Well, hope you appreciated the content from the Garden of Friedrichshain in Berlin. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, your wisdom. So good to have you here.
Thank you for the invite. It's great to be on.
Take care, everyone, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode of the Rise and Play podcast. We keep growing our community of conscious leaders across the industry and beyond. If you want to join this movement, please share the podcast with other conscious leaders, because we have so much more we can learn from each other. And if you want to accelerate your growth, I offer creative leadership coaching and workshop, plus other free resources that you can find on riseandplay.io. I can't wait to connect with you. Have a great week, and remember to take care of yourself. Until the next time,